Nickelodeon is a television channel loved by millions. However, it has a bad reputation in Orlando ever since that one broadcast intrusion that has traumatized many children in 2001. I used to work at Viacom International when I was 26, specifically to oversee and monitor the broadcasts on their vast selection of pay television channels. At approximately 12:56 p.m. on August 18, 2001, I found something odd while monitoring a rerun of Little Bear on the Nick Jr. programming block. Since I have been diagnosed with hearing loss, I turned on the closed captions to hear what's going on. All of a sudden, the program that was playing cuts to a still image of a faceless little bear. I swore I never saw that image in any episode of Little Bear, or any Nick Jr. show for that matter. I decided to cut the episode straight to the end credits, but little did I know that wouldn't prevent what was about to happen. Right when the Novana logo showed up, the program malfunctioned once more, and the visuals eventually cut to a pitch-black screen. It stayed that way for a few seconds until it cut back to the closing logos. As the Nick Jr. logo played afterwards, the transmission paused until it cut back to the logo, where the two orange and blue characters stopped moving. The Nick character's Nick text was flipped backwards and seems to be shivering and shaking like a dog on a winter day. JR, in a state of confusion and worry, took a few steps towards Nick. Suddenly, Nick's shivering came to a halt, and the space where his mouth was supposed to be cracked open, revealing a broad, bloodied smile. It wasn't a happy smile, it was the most disturbing and crooked smile I've ever seen. JR stops in his tracks and begins to visibly sweat in fear. Nick was mumbling something that was inaudible, at least for me. However, I looked at the captions and saw that Nick was actually talking to JR. He was either quoting a poem or asking him a riddle. What is stronger than the human heart, which shatters over and over, and without any reason? It still lives. As Nick was speaking, his limbs start to distort and extend to the point where his arms look bigger than his body. He starts growing strands of hair all over as he grows taller and taller, until only his lower legs are shown on screen. This catastrophic broadcast cuts to black for a few seconds before fading into JR on his knees, crying. Behind him was a creature that was once supposed to be Nick, a tall, lanky humanoid with a single bulbous eye and rotten teeth. The creature reveals the answer to the riddle, me, before a prolonged sequence of the entity brutally maiming JR in excruciating detail was shown. I was beyond disturbed at this point, so I decided to cut the broadcast to a technical difficulty screen. A few days later, I notified the FCC about the hijacking, but none of them were able to track down the individuals behind it. To this day, I am still haunted by this incident. The story about the hijacking has spread around on every news station I could possibly think of. And it's rumored that this broadcast intrusion was actually a cognitive hazard that killed many children in Orlando via anaphylactic shock, regardless of any medical conditions that they had. Nowadays, I'm trying to find a clip of this hijacking online, but all I could find was a single image, a still frame of Nick smiling at JR.